Okay, this is Mr. Decker back with another video. I've had my share of technical difficulties today, but I think we're going to get this sorted out. And part of my problem is I work on so many different systems, three different bases of operation: OMS, BMS, and here at home. But I do want to create some content here to hopefully make the virtual experience a little bit easier. And in particular, we have two projects that we're working on for both OMS and BMS. At OMS, we're doing radio intros for Mr. Hudson's morning announcements. For BMS, we are doing hallway passing period transition warnings. And by that I mean with 30 seconds to go, this sound would play, whether it be music, sound effects, or a combination of all of that, and could be voice too. And that will warn the students that it's time to move on. So we are not getting any desktop audio out of here. I do not know what's going on at this point. My microphone seems to be off. All right. Oh, wait a minute. Yes, we're on. I'm sorry. Panic mode here. I've had all kinds of audio trouble today, so forgive that part, and we'll just move on. Anyway, what I want to show you is Adobe Audition, and also I do want to point out, I keep looking over to the right, and that's because I have the Osmo Mobile 3 gimbal with my cell phone also recording off to the side, and hopefully I can mix these two things together in post-production, and show the two-view format that you oftentimes see in full video production. This gimbal, along with the GoPro Hero Cam 8, was purchased through a grant that we won. Wrote a grant for the Lawrence County Community Foundation. We did win. And the purpose of the grant was to buy equipment that would allow us to make content outside of the normal classroom setting. So content that is interesting and different. And that might include something I'm doing here, for instance, where I'm doing a video production. It could be, for instance, a hardware breakdown in class, which is something I'm going to film. Could be something where we also have other teachers, and that is part of the grant as well, that our class will show other teachers how to use the equipment so that they can go out and create content outside of the classroom, or in a way in the classroom that is outside of the conventional. I guess that's the thrust. Anyway, back to this. Thank you, Lawrence County Community Foundation, for all of the hardware, by the way. But back to the video. We are going to be looking at Adobe Audition. Now, this is a program that I've only had my hands on for a couple of weeks, so I'm just about as new at it as anyone else. But it does have some similarities to other Adobe products with which I have far more familiarity. And what I'm going to do here is, you notice my face is right here. Don't worry about that. It is blocking, I understand, but you know, it's not going to hurt anything because we're not going to use this area. What we're going to do is we're going to primarily be here, here, and here. So first things first, we need to have assets in hand before we go, and this is why I've had you collect assets over the last week. And my assets folder looks something like this. By the way, I have two of them open. It looks like this. And I have quite a few things that I've either created or found, or and this is sound effects, this is voice work that I did, this is also music. And we have all kinds of things here because you can use all those things. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to import by hitting File, Import, File. I'm going to search to my directory, which is on my desktop. It's sound effects. I'm going to click on the first file. I'm going to slide on down and click on the last while holding Shift. And what that does is it selects everything. I'm going to hit OK, and boom, all of the assets come in. And you notice I keep using the word assets. Well, in media production, anything that you create, whether that be music, sound effect, or voiceover work, that's all considered to be an asset. Even if I had video clips, those would be considered assets. And the assets are compiled in our multi-track session to create a composite project. So what you want to pay attention to here, first of all, you notice I gave it some time for this to process. Now I have my time length for each of these materials, but I also have the sample rate. You want to pay attention to this. It's 44,100 on all of these samples. When you create new projects, you want your samples and your project sample rate to be the same, or you'll have problems. Now don't ask me what samples are. Again, I've only been in this, or sample rate is. I can't give you the technical explanation for that. I've only been in this for a couple of weeks, but it is important, I know, for them to match up. So that I have run into. Now, once they're in, you can test any of them by simply clicking on them and hitting the play button. Yes, Led Zeppelin. You got to have Led Zeppelin. Also, some sound effects. Let's play it. There we go. Yeah. And the internet argument ender of all time. Click this link. All right. Enough of the Rickroll. Enough of the Rickroll. Here we go. Okay, stupid over. Now, we have our samples in, so what we need to do is we need to get into our multi-track session, which is right here. Now, not the top one up here. They can be confusing. It's that you see the blue waveform, you go to the white multi-track immediately to the right. Once we get there, we're going to call this whatever we're going to be doing, and I'm going to call this Dogs Are Loose because of what I'm going to create. I'm putting it in the same folder as my sound effects, and my sample rate needs to be the same at 44,100. Now, it's important that your project files and your assets are in the same folder, because if not, your project can't find the files. And that has to do with pathing. I'm not going to get too much into the weeds at the moment. Just keep everything in the same folder and everything will be okay. So I'm going to hit OK. And you'll notice here I have something that for Photoshop users or Illustrator users looks like layers. Well, that kind of is what it is, except they call them tracks. When you're working with video or audio, instead of layers, we call them tracks. So what I do is I simply begin pulling in assets and stacking them up on multiple tracks, and then I can manipulate each of the tracks individually. And truthfully, that's what gives all Adobe products their power, is the ability to individually manipulate parts on either layers or tracks. So I'm going to start with a familiar sound for anyone who's been in class. This is going to be the siren. Let's hear it. Okay, I like that. Now there are a couple things to know. What I'm doing here is I'm creating that passing period transition sound. Now, that passing period needs, that warning has to be 30 seconds or less. And you'll notice that my timeline here shows that it goes over 30 seconds. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mouse over here until I see the orange bracket, and I'm going to left click and hold, and I'm going to pull that in until it snaps on 30. Now, I've clipped off the end of that sound so that it is only 30 seconds. That is a hard end. Now, the other thing I want to do while I click on that is I want to come over here and I want to click on SFX, which will label it as a sound effects. Now, this will allow me to lower the clip volume, and I want to drop that down a bit because what I'm after here is atmosphere. By the way, this line that I'm grabbing right here is called the scrubber. Wherever that red line passes through, that's the sound you'll be hearing. Okay, so now let's play it again. Spacebar, and that's not quite as low as I want it yet. I'm going to take it down a bit more. Let's take it down here. All right, let's try it again. I like that. All right, so at this point, I'm going to pull the scrubber back to about right there, and I'm going to pull in my second piece, which is going to be the dogs. All right, now as before, I need to chop that to 30 seconds so that it cannot go any longer. Boom. And then I'm going to play it again. Okay, if it's not obvious what I'm trying to do here, what I want is the idea that the siren goes off and it's a prison break and that everyone has to run for it because the dogs have been turned loose. So yeah, it's a dumb idea, but let's see if we can pull it off in audio format. The trouble that I have with this is that the dogs came in kind of instantly. Listen to it. The dogs are instantly there. Well, that's not what you want. You want it to sound like the dogs are off in the distance but getting closer. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this corner right here, which is the fade in corner, and I'm going to pull it to the right. Now if I go vertically, up or down. I can put a curve in it, but I want it to be pretty linear. So I'm going to have it end about right in there. And let's try this again. I may have to adjust yet. And that would be when the tone happened, right there. Beep. Okay, and that would be the end. So I like what I've got right there, and so if I want to put that up as a proposal, and what we're going to do is we're going to put a bunch of these. You know, they can be this simple, and from this pool of effects that we've created, Mr. Calhoun can then select which ones he likes. He can schedule those. He can upload them to a drive, and he would have a pool of however many we make, and the more the better. So anyway, let's save it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select both of those tracks just by drawing a box through them. Then I'm going to hit File, I believe Export, my multi-track mixdown, and my selected clips. And I'm going to call this, I'll go ahead and call it Dogs Are Loose Mixdown. That's fine. That will be fine. We're going to hit OK. And it's already done. So let's see if we can pull it up. Dogs Are Loose Mixdown. We'll double click it. Now the nice thing here is that this is an MP3 file. It's all compressed. It's one single file. Easy peasy. I like that. Now, the one thing I don't like about it is that, and this is being nitpicky, far more than I need to, because the quality of the speakers at school are not going to be high fidelity. But there's a bit of background hiss on the dog portion of that you don't notice whenever you just load the dogs and they're barking. But as the volume comes up, you can hear the hiss kind of build along with the volume of the dogs. And this program could clean that up. I don't know it well enough. I've played around with my voice some, and I've done some weird things, but anyway, let me see if I've got anything here, to show. Yeah, let's do this one. It's a little loud. Pull it back some.
Good morning. It's time to wake up for our announcements featuring Mr. Hudson.
Yeah, I mean, that's my voice. That's me doing the voice over there. So that's the last thing I'll leave this with. And this has been going on for about 13 minutes, which is way longer than it should have. But the point is that we're going to be doing this. We're also going to be using the mic. Some of you may be worried about your voice and, you know, what you sound like, or people teasing you, whatever. Well, it doesn't matter, because you can make it so that you can do all the talking, but no one's going to know it's you. I mean, it's going to be completely distorted. So this is a lot of fun. It's fairly easy to do on the level that we're trying to do it, and we're going to learn a lot. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I'm sorry it wound up as long as it did. I'm sorry for all the technical trouble leading up to this. But anyway, dig into this. If you're at home and you're watching this, please, please, please load up some sound effects. Get a big pile of assets, load it up into your Google Drive. Just download it to your Chromebook, then upload it to your drive. When you get to school and get on a desktop, you'll be able to pull it down from there. Really, it's what you need to do. And when you get to school, you'll be ready to work. And listen, As long as stuff is school appropriate, I don't care what theme you take. I don't care what music you pull. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. We're going to have fun with this. All right. So with that, this is Mr. Deckard, and I'm signing off.